Hello again, and welcome back to another episode of the What's Up Wenatchee podcast. Happy Friday, everybody. My name is Nikki Darling, and we are inside of the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center. You might not be able to tell. I'm going to try and get a better background. Look, there it is. We have a really, really cool backdrop of Wenatchee from the way that it was back when a lot of the orchards were dominating the landscape to nowadays what it now looks like built up. And if you've ever been inside of the museum, you know where I'm at. It's over in the apple side where they have all the history of the apple orchards and everything here. It's a pretty cool. Every time I come here, I always forget how much I love the museum, and I love history, and I love our history. And it's just been at our fingertips all the time right here in our town. And I think my son is at the point where he can really appreciate it if I bring him. So yeah, like the room of Miss Vidal and the train, and there's a room with these huge building blocks. So I think a trip to the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center with the kiddo is in our near future. Speaking of things to do with the kids, look at that. This is what I have to give away. Actually, there's a pair here. I have a pair of tickets to Touch a Truck, which is happening tomorrow. It's put on by the Women's Service League of North Central Washington. It's one of their fundraiser events. And if you don't know about them, I'll tell you a little bit more about the good that they're doing in the community for women-focused nonprofit groups and the grants that they're giving back to those organizations. And all about Touch a Truck. It's all the great trucks, and cars and the cranes and activities for the kids. And it is happening tomorrow at Wenatchee Valley College, and I have a pair of tickets. So a couple of tickets to give away by the end of this show at 2:00, care of our friend Chris over at Safe Light Auto Repair. So we'll give those. So stick around and wait for that. Also coming up on today's show, we have the current sitting mayor of Wenatchee, Mayor Frank Kuntz, coming in. He has 6 months left until he says sayonara to his life for the past 12 years as mayor of Wenatchee. And he's going to be handing it off to somebody. Right now, we have 2 people as of 12:04 on a Friday of filing week that have been registered to file for mayor. And that would be Mike Poyer and Brian Campbell. So they have until 5:00 tonight to register and file for their candidacy. So we'll see if there is a third candidate or fourth or fifth or 10th that wants to file before 5:00 today. But we're going to talk to Frank a bit about the Confluence Parkway Project and what his plans are going forward after November, and if he has any plans. Or if it's retirement, if it's just going to be a nice little smooth ride into retirement for him, or if he's just going to go back to work, doing what he does for his business. I don't know. We'll find out a little bit later on. Also, for today's show, we're going to tell you another event happening tomorrow is Artisan Synergy. So you can go to Touch a Truck and then swing on by the north end of town to go see all the great artisan vendors that are going to be at Artisan Synergy until 3:00, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. And they're moving it from the back parking lot up until the front parking lot. And they're going to have some food and different crafters, vendors, and it's going to be an all-around good day. So we have that going on. And the new Leavenworth Adventure Park. Grayson and I have differing opinions and differing levels of excitement. Is that a very diplomatic way, Grayson, to put that? We have differing levels of excitement of the opening of the Leavenworth Adventure Park and the Alpine roller coaster that is part of that. So June 1st is the opening of that, and it is free to enter. Did you know that? It's nothing to enter. I mean, you pay money to ride the rides, but nothing to enter. I'll give you my take on why I'm not as excited as Grayson, but why I'll still go.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Thank you. I'm trying to keep things diplomatic and fair on this show. That's how we do it. And we're going to have a little bit of a conversation. We'll round out today's show with a conversation about what do you do when you hear other people or overhear other people speaking unkindly about you? Should you do anything? Or should you just let sleeping dogs lie? And how do you deal with it, like, internally in your brain, and not let it eat at your self-confidence and your self-esteem? So and this is coming off of a personal experience. So I don't talk about things that I don't know about. So we'll tell you the story of how this came up, why it came up, and talk about how we get through it and what options you have. You can either dive into the negativity or you can turn it into something positive. And how do you do that? Because that's actually definitely really difficult. So that's what we got coming up on the show. We appreciate that everybody is here. And we can always have your interaction. We appreciate it. We always ask for it. And we have an interactive text line. So I'm going to put that number up on the screen. It is 509-795-5602. Anytime during the show, you can text into that number. It comes right to us. We could see it also on any platform that you're on, whether it be Facebook or Twitch or Instagram or YouTube. You can write into the comment section and we will see it and we can actually highlight it onto the screen, like our good friend Chris, who's always watching, and we appreciate it. He says, Happy Friday. Thank goodness, right, Chris? It is Friday. We appreciate you always being on and interacting with us. And you could do that as well. We don't always highlight everybody's comments, but we do appreciate them coming in and we can interact and respond. And and sometimes we do highlight them if we like you. No. We're a bit more diplomatic than that. But if we do like you, it's a bit, I guess, more likely that we'll highlight you. So you can always support this podcast. We remind you that we're 100% community supported. What does that mean? That means that viewers and people like you support us. And you can do that through a few different ways. You can be part of our community through our Supercast community. You just go to www.supercast.com and that will bring you to the What's Up Wenatchee Supercast community. And you have different tiers and different levels that you can be a part of. And we have exclusive content and different giveaways that you could be part of just for being supportive of us each and every month. And we do appreciate that. You can also just watch us and share. And word of mouth is always the biggest way to share something that has resonated with you. And that you have liked or that you've seen somebody that you know has been on the podcast. That's always another way to be supported of our show. We also are supported by a lot of the small businesses within the Wenatchee Valley. One such business is the Susie Health Solutions. They have been around for about 11 years, and they know that insurance shopping really does suck. You know, you start to look for insurance quotes, and then you start getting emails and phone calls until the sunburns out, right? It's like, what is catastrophic versus full coverage? What does that even mean? Right? You have all these questions. You can go in, you can ask Susie, you can ask Matt. They started helping people 11 years ago for free on the Health Plan Finder and Apple Health. And then they saw some gaps in the coverage in like vision and dental and Medicare. So they started contracting with some companies and started helping you out in those areas. So since then, they have been helping people just like me and you. They're very down to earth. You go into their office, it's national park posters on the walls, and they're in jeans and sweatshirts, and you can ask them questions until you're blue in the face, honestly. Just don't get something that you don't understand. Just keep asking them questions and they will help you. They're just very, very easy to talk to and easy to get help from. And then back in January, they partnered up with Shayla to do home and business. So you can get your home, property, business insurance. They have contracts with those businesses, those areas too. So your home and your health are all in one place, right? It is Susie Health Solutions and Wenatchee Insurance, and they are both located at 413 North Mission Street or at enrollmentcenter.org. All right, so this week was filing week for our elections in Chelan County, and there was a couple of people who got filed for the mayor office because we did find out that our current sitting mayor, Frank Kuntz, not seeking re-election. So we have two people who have filed so far. They have until 5 o'clock this evening to do their filing. So right now we have Mike Poyer and we have Brian Campbell, who are both very excited to continue the work, the good work, and the legacy of the current mayoralship. So we are in just a couple of minutes where I see Mayor Kuntz sitting here and getting ready. Actually, he's not sitting, he's pacing. So we're going to get him on and we're going to talk to him about what his plans are after November, and then get a chance to talk about the big feather in his cap, which is the Confluence Parkway Project, which I know a lot of people have some questions about, including myself. So the questions that we're going to get some answers on are not all my questions. So, right, this is all about community interaction and community outreach. So a lot of the questions and comments that are going to be coming through have not come from me. They've come through, people who have been like, oh, I know you're going to be talking to the mayor. This is what I want you to cover. And I'm like, okay, I'll I'm going to talk to him. I'm going to talk to him about it. All right. So here we go. Let's get some electrolytes and some antioxidants. And we're going to get Mayor Kuntz all set up here. And so just so you know, just a little bit of history on this Confluence Parkway project. It is honestly a huge deal because as we move forward into like the next decade, we're really looking at a huge increase, not a huge increase, but just a steady, okay, I think that's fair, a steady increase in the population, right? Like a 1% increase, even if it's just a 1% increase in population every year, after about a 10-year, we're looking at 100,000 more people in our city. And where are they going to go, and how is that going to affect commuting time, and how is that going to affect traffic, commuting in and out of town. So thinking into the future, right? That's the way that you have to think of how this is not going to affect us now, because obviously it's going to affect us now with the construction. It's going to affect us now with, with being disturbed in our everyday commute now. But I think having people who are invested into the future of what this community is going to look like and how it's going to function is really where all of this is coming from. And I want to get this camera set up because you're so tall. But so just give me a second because he's tall and we need to. There we go. Now I got you. I'm like, I can't have the mayor on with his head chopped off.
Fall off the edge.
I know. I'm trying not to. So, but
just point at the sky.
Oh, jeez. Nope, I'm not going to do it. There you are. I got you. All right. Like, no, he's going to be perfect before I put him on screen. So there you go. So thank you so much for coming onto the program and talking about this with us today.
Sure. My pleasure, Nikki.
And first off, I know that you are winding down in your seat after 12 years. How do you feel about that, first off?
So I'm totally happy with being done in 12 years. Winding down is only in terms of how many days I have left, because yesterday I got to work at about 7:30 and got home at 9 last night.
Right.
And I think I was asleep on the couch at 9:15. Just a very long, exhaustive day for the mayor. And it was all mayor stuff. It wasn't at my accounting practice. It wasn't anything. It was all mayor the entire day. And so, winding down is only in terms of days because, I'm the mayor till December 31st, and I think I will start slowing down sort of mid-December-ish. There's a time when next year's budget's wrapped up and, staff's taking some time off around the holidays, that literally sort of the torch passes. Whoever the new mayor is won't quite be sworn in yet, but they'll be probably in my office doing the work of the mayor. I'll continue to sign whatever needs to be signed, but there's a sort of a natural handover. I know when Dennis handed it over to me, I think that the final tally was towards the end of November, and he just said, "There's the office. It's all yours."
Is there a different?
I think that was the hardest month I ever worked without getting
when
paid.
he was handing it over.
Yeah. It's just like that was a ton of work. Yeah.
Well, sure, and there has to, and I'm assuming that there's a different mentality right now, because after you're doing it for 12 years and you're like, oh yeah, there's all these things that I want to do and take care of, and I even at the beginning of these past 4-year run, you're like, I've got this much time to do it, and now you know that there is an end date. Right? You're working towards this goal of finishing up whatever it is that you want to finish up at a certain time. So now it's like, okay, let's get this done, right?
Yep. And I think for me, to be honest with you, it is sort of the background to Confluence Parkway. You were talking about that a little while ago. So, we've got the money. Again, we didn't have the state money until a couple of weeks ago when the governor signed the state transportation budget. We're still trying to get what's called a term sheet with the federal highway department. So once we get the term sheet signed, which hopefully gets signed in the next 3 to 4 weeks, then everything legally is done. And I'm an accountant by trade. So my view of the world is the project's done when it's paid for and all the paperwork's done.
I know, right? I've heard you say that
before.
Then
you hire engineers and all those people to sort of execute the grand plan. And so for me, I will feel like, okay, I've done all that the mayor is supposed to do, hopefully in the next month or two. And then there's some other little things to do, nothing major. I've told most of the organizations I work with, it's like, if you need something from me, I just can't do it tomorrow, right? We need to get it through city council. So if there's something you think it's important that you want done while I'm here, then let's go ahead and start working on that. And
You're like me, you talk with your hands.
I really don't think there's that much left, to be honest with you.
But
okay.
The
day-to-day stuff is still there every day.
Is it, let's talk about the Confluence Parkway project a little bit, or a lot of it. You say, because you're an accountant, as soon as it's paid for to you, the project is done. Obviously, that's not exactly true, is it?
No, you're absolutely correct, because it's got to be designed fully. There's right of way to acquire. There may or may not be cost overruns. There may or may not be some small changes to the project, because it's what they call a design build, which means it's going to be designed, and then at about a 30% design, we're going to enter a contract that says you can finish designing and you can build it and not to exceed whatever the math is. I think it's 150 million, because we got engineering on top of that. And then someone's going to commit to that, and they're going to go, yes, we can. And that's long before it's fully designed. And so it is a little bit different sort of a contract. And that'll take us a while to get to that point. And then there'll be all sorts of construction. But, I've always sort of felt as staying at 60,000 feet or 30,000 feet, just trying to make sure, okay, this is where we're going. I've got super competent staff that are amazing. We've hired some of the best people who do design builds in our country are working for us now to make this happen. So,
but will the design go out to bid?
So design will go out to bid. So we have an owner's rep. So we have people representing the city, and then we're getting RFQs right now for a design team. And it's design build team. So we will go through and we will pick which one of those we choose, and they'll go for a while, and then we'll have a stop and say, okay, can you do it for the money we've got? And they always seem to figure out how to do it for the money we've got. So,
right.
But again, a $200 million project, we haven't done a road project of that scale in our town probably forever. Interesting, when we first got the infra-grant money, 2 years ago, one of my first discussions was our local WashDOT group. Our Washington State Department of Transportation has a big office out in Old Station. They do all the state projects in our district, whatever it is, District 6 maybe, I don't know. And we said, hey, you got some engineers that can help or any expertise? This is new for us. They said, we've never done a $200 million project before. Why do you think we're going to help you? And so it really was a sort of an aha moment, like, all right, this is going to be us sort of figuring it out on our own.
But do you think that's how much it's going to cost? Like it'll cap out about 200 million? Because I've seen different, this is going to be $117 million project, $190 million
so a lot of it is just sort of based on the way we put our grant packages together, right? In whether we sent to Washington, so there's different components of the project, and they didn't agree to fund all of it. So, part of Confluence Parkway was some stuff in East Wenatchee, and there was some stuff other places. So they said, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're doing this. We're doing this. What I can tell you is we got $92 million from the federal government,
right?
And we got 85 from the state government. So you add those two up, that's 177 million.
177, yeah.
And we know we're 10 million short when we started. So that means 187. So if you say 190, for rounding error, that's probably close. Do you think we'll have a cost overrun or two? I would guess we probably would,
yeah.
So if you said $200 million, I think you're probably pretty close to what we think it's going to be.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty conservative.
Yeah.
But it is coming also from grant money. So
cities of Wenatchee do not have $200 million.
Right.
Cities of Wenatchee will have a hard time finding $10 million. But
sure.
As I've told, I have a running argument with Laura, who works for me at City Hall. She keeps saying, well, where's that $10 million going to come from? And I said, it's going to show up. We're going to apply for a grant for this part, apply for another grant for that part. Yeah, we'll be into it some, probably what we've already spent, but it may not be a ton more than that, because people want to be involved in good projects. And I just met with the Transportation Improvement Board yesterday. They were in Wenatchee, and we toured their executive director, and he said, yeah, we can partner with you on this portion of Confluence Parkway out in Old Station, where it sort of grinds into some of the residential, and there's some sidewalk improvements that need to be made. They said, yeah, we can help you with that. And so as we go forward, we'll find other partnering agencies to help. Link may be willing to help us a little bit in certain spots.
Now, the TIB, the Transportation Improvement Board, is not, people might not know what that is, but that's a state agency.
That's a state agency, and basically they get funding every single year, and then they have to go through and allocate projects. They do a request for projects, and so much goes to different districts. We're in the same district as Spokane, to be honest with you, when they right, and we say, here are the 4 or 5 things.
Is that a detriment to us?
No, because they might get more money. It's a bigger city, right? But we've done extremely well with TIB. We got 2 more grants just last week awarded to us. So there'll be 2 other projects that are taking place in the next couple of years. So they've been great for us. And, TIB, they're trying to partner with us to figure out how to connect the links. They want to make sure it's pedestrian friendly and there's bike lanes. And we're good about, especially on our east-west corridors, making sure we accomplish that. So they've been great. And then you have to actually do the projects, right?
Right.
They have to have confidence that they're just not going to keep giving money to Wenatchee if we can't deliver a project, right? And so we are really good at delivering projects. And they go, wow, you did that one already? We've got some more money. Do you want to do another one? So credit our engineering department for being able to get all these projects out. And so this has been a great partnership, right? And they continue to give us funds every single time we ask. We don't get all that we ask, but they're very good partners with us. And we just keep trying to deliver because we know there's more, right? There'll be more next time and more next time. And if you really needed them, they'll be there to help us. And I think that's what partnerships are all about, right?
Well, you do need to find that last 10 mil.
Yes.
So it isn't completely paid for quite yet. And I will kind of put out there, it is, from what I'm hearing, it is seeming like you are going to need whoever is this next mayor to really see this project through.
Yeah, I think so. I think, listen, there's tons of decisions that mayors make, right?
Yeah.
All sorts of decisions that until you're sitting in the seat, you don't know what they are, right?
Yeah.
And made one this morning. It's like, there's just a lot that goes on. And so again, you have great staff and but there's going to be times when they're going to go, Mayor, you need to call this person and you need to ask for this. And then but you don't want to overuse that, right? So I don't want to have to call Senator Murray every other week, right? But when Senator Murray or Senator Cantwell hear from me, they go, it must be important the mayor's calling, right? So you got to be really careful about how you use the mayor card to get things that you want, right? So staff sometimes tease things up, and then it's like, so I got to be real careful. When is the time for me to get involved? And so I think you just got to be patient about that. And the next mayor is going to have the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Are we going to have some cost overruns, or we can change the design? What do you guys think? We should do it the right way. We need to go find $10 million. Where do you think we should go find it?
Yeah.
Let's go meet with our legislators, Mike Steele and Keith Gaynor and Brad Hawkins, and see if there's a pot of money there. Go back to you just go to all those different spots and you just keep looking until you find something.
There's several different aspects to the project too, right? There's several different layouts, because there's the actual bridge, and there's widening of the walking bridge, and so could they maybe do part of a project and not the whole project?
Yeah. So you might find someone who, hey, we got money for paths and trails.
Right.
Good. We're rerouting a path and building another trail. So you want to help partner with that, right? We're doing a pedestrian overpass between the pedestrian bridge in East Wenatchee and the pedestrian bridge in South Wenatchee, right? And so that's a $10 million component. Hey, we've agreed to build it with federal dollars, but can we take those federal dollars and put them into the Confluence Parkway if somebody else agrees to help us cover the, right? So we're always looking for stuff. And this is a time with ARP money and the feds wanting to do a lot of infrastructure. There's a lot of grant availability out there, right? And quite frankly, your federal delegation now have the ability to almost do where they can just pick projects, right? And do earmarks. And so those are started to come back a little bit. So if we really needed something from, say, Kim Schreier or either of our senators, we could go to them and say, hey, can you get us an earmark for $3 or $4 million? I mean, the project's already federalized, which means it already comes with all of the paperwork that the federal requirement comes with. So if more federal money doesn't ruin the project, right? Sometimes if you do small projects and it's just funded by the state and you go, oh, there's a federal grant. Sometimes you get $1 million of federal grant and it costs you $1.5 million to do it because of all the paperwork that comes with it. So sometimes you don't want to have a federal project. This one's already federalized, so more federal money doesn't come with any additional cost to us. So it leaves everything wide open. And again, if you're in a political office, it's way higher than mine. You want to be part of projects that are going to get done, are going to improve people's lives. And so, we had Secretary of Transportation Pete Buttigieg in last fall, and he was excited about it. And so, again, we just keep. I've learned in this business, you're going to get told no a bunch of different times, and things are and you just got to keep plugging away. Something's going to happen that's good. Something's going to happen that's positive. And I've got all the faith in whoever the next mayor is going to be able to help the team get it to the finish line.
Well, I give you and your team a lot of credit on this project. The Confluence Parkway Project is what we're talking about today, right now, with Mayor Kuntz. Because there was a lot of hurdles to get to where you are right now on this project. Before we talk a bit more about what those hurdles are, why and I alluded to it a bit more before we got you on, but why for you is this project so imperative for our community to get invested in mentally and emotionally for the future?
So I'd say there's 2 or 3 things. Obviously, as you mentioned, our community is continuing to grow, and the projections are, 1% a year for a while. So that's another, we got 35,000 in the city of Wenatchee. So that means we'll be at 40,000 before you know it. Most of Sunny Slope's in the county. And so by the time you start looking at sort of the lay of the land in this region, and you go, so downtown Wenatchee's in downtown Wenatchee. And if we don't fix North Wenatchee Avenue, if you're up in Sunny Slope and you go, oh, I want to go to Atlas Fair for dinner tonight, but it's going to take me 40 minutes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
That hurts your downtown. So what if it only takes you 10 minutes to get there? Oh, that's a better choice. Yeah, let's go downtown. And if Atlas Fair is busy, maybe we'll go across the way and go to Gastropub, or we'll do something else in town. So you want to make sure that downtown's accessible. And what we've known by looking at North Wenatchee Avenue is that thing continues to sort of get more and more congested.
Mm-hmm.
We had fires, the Broadview fires, and people couldn't get out of this town. And so I think it's really important that we come up with another way north to connect on your way to Leavenworth, or connect on your way to Chelan. And we got to remember, lots of people drive from Chelan to Wenatchee to work, or drive from Leavenworth to work, or vice versa, drive from Wenatchee to go to work in those two communities. So that's a very central hub for all of traffic activity. And, listen, I think where we're putting Confluence Parkway, if you were to back up 50 years ago, you would have said, we need to find another corridor, but nobody set that aside 50 years ago, right? So now here we are trying to look 20, 25 years ago, going, we need another one. And this, quite frankly, when you looked at all the alternatives to head north, this was the only one that made any sort of sense. And so it's a little complicated because it's in the Huron Natural area for certain portions of it. It does reroute the recreational trail to some degree. Actually doubles the size of the pedestrian bridge that goes over the Wenatchee River. It'll be twice as wide. And it's where all the link buses are going. It's just that it is this sort of the way. And so it really made sense. We studied a third bridge. Do you put a bridge in downtown Wenatchee that goes to East Wenatchee so that people could go on Sunset Highway to get out? I mean, we studied all of those different options, and everything came back to, we need another north-south way out. And then widening North Wenatchee Avenue to 6 lanes, or 7, because there's two in the middle. In some spots. So to make it to 6 lanes, all of a sudden you're taking out every business, right? So it's like, that didn't make any sense. So this was really, I think, the best way to look at it. It came to me about, just right after I became mayor, the engineering team was like, okay, this is what we're thinking about, working with the Transportation Council. And, I think our region is entitled to sort of plan for and think about one major project at a time. So, there was a lot of improvements to the George Seller Bridge, 10 or 12 years ago, when they added the extra lane and they put the sidewalk on the outside, and they redid some of those exits and entrances. And I think the improvements over by Fred Meyer have been very helpful in getting cars. So we've done some improvements, and then I was like, okay, what's next? And Confluence Parkway was clearly next. Being a city project, we took the lead on it, and we said, hey, we will be the ones that, go to Washington, D.C. We'll be the ones, some Douglas County commissioners went with us a couple of times, but, we'll take the lead on it. We'll pay for all the consultants, which we did. And we paid for all the folks to help us get us through that. And we asked for infra grants on 4 separate occasions, and the first 3 we were no. And on the 4th one, we got $92.4 million, which was the largest award by about double in that round. And listen, cities the size of Wenatchee don't get $92 million infra grants. They just don't. It doesn't happen. And so kudos to our team and our staff for making that happen, and for our elected officials back in Washington, D.C. to have confidence in the city to be able to execute that. But that's only half the money, right? So that was like...
But did you know when you went into the project, when the engineers brought you the idea that you were going to have this issue with the land, the Huron Conservatory down there, like, did you know going into it that you were going to have to deal with that?
Yep, absolutely, we knew. But listen, you can build a brand new 520 bridge, right, from Bellevue into the University of Washington district, right? Take up all that additional land on both sides, right? All the water, everything, and they figured out a way to mitigate that to the satisfaction of the folks that live in Seattle and all the environmental folks, right? They built a new park, they did lots of stuff. So if they can do that, we can clearly build 2 lanes of traffic and a bike lane in a different spot, right? So I always felt like, if other organizations can do these huge projects that are environmentally sensitive, that we can do the same thing, and that we can mitigate for those things, given the scale that we have. And I had full confidence that we'd be able to do that. It took us a long time, and we're still working on some of the mitigation measures. But
I like that you use the term environmentally sensitive.
Yes,
because it is an environmentally sensitive area. I know a lot of people are concerned about it still, even though there has been an agreement between the land swap, the 5-acre land swap with the PUD. But I mean, the PUD, I mean, it was $80 million on the line, like with the PUD.
Yep.
But going forward, I know people want to make sure that we're still doing right by the environment and seeing that through, even with the land swap.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, we've got to make sure we're working. The PUD has the ability to work with us on all of those sorts of things. There's noise issues, there's light issues.
Well, yeah,
there's all sorts of issues that are important to our region. And
one of the benefits of the land swap was that you could get some ordinances, right, for the noise that the PUD couldn't.
Yes, yeah. But the other thing that's sort of, I think, so, you know, there's two sides to every coin, right? So we are developing a land swap with the PUD, so we actually have to acquire some property that's, if you and I were going to walk down, there's in the Haran area, right? But it's owned by private landowners, right? One of the private landowners is in right now for a 96 unit apartment complex. So you could have a 96 unit apartment complex in the Haran natural area. Or would you rather this project goes through and we find federal money to buy the land from the landowner so that there isn't this huge apartment complex, right?
I'm sure they would like neither.
I would like that as victory. But again, when you do zoning, right? And it's in our whatever waterfront zone, and it's zoned for all of those things, and a private party purchase it, knowing what our underlying zoning is. They have a right to do that.
Sure.
So we are actually, when you start thinking about the alternatives, if the Haran natural area is big to you, right? And if we didn't do this, then you're going to end up with a bunch of apartments down there, right? And everything can stay the same, and you'll have another 100 people living in the Haran natural area. And I don't think any of us wants it, but that's the alternative if we don't do this. And so,
why would it be zoned for that in the first place?
It's again, when you zone, how do you want to zone it? What should we zone it?
Well, if it's in the Haran natural area, why would it be able to be zoned for apartments?
Okay. So when you look at the floodplain, when the river floods, right?
Yeah.
It's not all the way down in there.
Okay.
It's sort of right by where the PUD has their switching yard. It's right on the other side of that. Okay. So you know, right there on Thurston?
Yeah.
Not Thurston, whatever the street is.
The Columbia.
Yeah. Well, as it turns, and they've got all their little switching yards and all that. It's just right on the other side of that. So you would look at that and say it's sagebrush. And I would say, yeah, it is sagebrush, and it's owned by a family. They've owned it for 100 years, 80 years. And how would you zone it?
I don't know.
You can't develop. That's not a zone. Okay. Residential mixed use. I mean, we got to pick a zoning. So it's zoned so they could build residential, right? And we need residential. So again, when you look at zoning and you say it's been zoned that way forever, and those guys have rights, right? They have rights to develop. So the fact that we're going to go in and purchase this land, leave it in open space forever, is a plus. But people don't ever think of that. They're like, well, the Haran natural area, you know, there's going to be some more noise or more light. Yeah, there is, and we're trying to mitigate that. But don't forget that we're also preventing a huge development from taking place in the spot where we don't probably want that to happen. And so there are lots of pluses that people don't always think about, because you don't always think about, well, what could happen if they didn't do this? And some of that stuff is stuff that you and I wouldn't be that happy with.
Yeah, there's always going to be parts of a project that people don't know about, right? And they're only going to see what's being reported on. And so, man, I don't want you to like spill the beans or anything like that, but I want people to see the importance and like get behind and say, like, trust the decisions that are being made in the way that they're being made, because you're making them for the betterment of the whole.
Yes. And listen, I'm not the only set of eyes, right? Or the next mayor will not be the only set of eyes who gets to say, how big's that wall going to be, or what's it going to look like, or how tall is this going to be, or there's going to be a whole bunch of eyes on that. A bunch of engineers, our engineers, you know, your next mayor, your entire board of directors of Chelan County PUD, and others and their staff will all be looking at it to make sure that we're trying to do what's in the best interest of the region, to make sure the road has the least impact as possible, right? Yeah. But, you know, I've heard people call, you know, Confluence Highway, right? Yeah. Excuse me, it's a parkway. So what's the difference? So 35-mile-an-hour speed limit.
Okay.
Not 65.
Okay.
Okay. I don't believe there's going to be any stoplights.
Okay.
Okay. There might be a couple little jetties to turn, but for the most part, once you're on the parkway, it's like one roundabout and you're on your highway to Chelan, right? But you're not going 50, you're going 35.
Mm-hmm.
And there's sidewalks and there's bike lanes and it's a parkway and it's designed to bypass a little area, which is exactly what it's doing. And so, I think there's misconceptions with, they're building a highway. Why is it only 2 lanes? They should build a 4-lane highway. We can't fit a 4-lane highway. It's not a highway, it's a parkway. And so, again, we're just trying to add 2 more lanes to the north-south, right?
Okay.
So if I'm in Chelan and I'm coming and trying to get to Confluence Health for my appointment, I can do what you do now and go down North Wenatchee Avenue, or I can just take the parkway and I'll dump in around Denny's.
All right.
Right? Those are sort of pick and choose. You're leaving town, you want to go to Starbucks or get a hamburger, go down Wenatchee Avenue. You're just trying to get out to go to Leavenworth and take the parkway and do the loops and work your way up. So just trying to add another 2 lanes so that people have options getting in and out of our town.
Well, you said you're trying to do things to mitigate the noise.
Mm-hmm.
That's been another concern. But if you're trying to do things to mitigate the noise, people get worried about the aesthetics of what it might look like. This is Wenatchee. They want to keep it that small town feel, not have the big barriers like Seattle and the highway there. So is it going to start looking like that as we get forward another decade?
No, it shouldn't. It's interesting. So, you think about it. I don't know how many times I've been on that trail section now with every consultant you could possibly have, right? Sort of walking, sort of what we're thinking this is going to look like, whether it's PUD commissioners. And every time the train goes by, and we can't even talk, right? Right? We have to wait for the train to go by.
Yeah, that's a good point.
One time we were walking, and I'll get the term wrong because I don't know what a large amount of geese would be called. Is it a flock?
It's a gaggle.
A gaggle, perfect. So a gaggle of geese come by, and we can't talk either, right? Because the geese are making so much noise that we just have to wait for So it's not like there isn't noise there already, okay? Now, and a car makes a different sort of noise, right? Then it's a little bit more constant, right? So sort of a humming. But it's not like there isn't noise there already, right? So we want to do is we're not going to be able to mitigate. We'll help a little bit. The stuff we build will help with the train noise to some degree. We can't fix the gaggle of geese or whatever you called them.
No, it's not what I call them. It's just the name.
That's what it is?
Yeah.
I trust you on that.
Okay.
And we'll do our best to mitigate the car noise, right?
Yeah.
So that's what, and again, our noise consultants, car noise doesn't go up and down. It sort of goes this way. And it stays at the tire level, not at the hood. And so it's like, what do you need to block? And does it go up and drop? Or, what is it? So there's all these consultants that have chimed in on all of that sort of stuff. In my backpack, which I didn't bring with me, I actually have a noise meter thing with me now.
A dB?
Whatever it is. I hit the button, it tells me
meter?
How many. Yeah. Because, the consultant was like, this is how many decibels it is. And it's really not that much. And so, but people don't always understand that whole concept. So again, we have with exhaustion done so much work on all of those sorts of things. So
do you ever just look around and be like, how is this my life? I am standing on the side of a road with a dB meter.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, this is pretty cool.
This has
been a pretty cool run.
Mayors get to do lots of stuff, right? And if that's what it took for me to understand more about noise than what I knew before, then I'm willing to do that. And I think it's what you do. It's like, and other jobs as assigned, right? And you don't know what those are going to be, right? And so that's the part about this job is you just never know. You never know. I had a schedule for Monday. My Monday was not even close to what that schedule was, right? Because something came up and I got in the middle of something that took priority over the rest of the stuff. And that's just how Monday went. So it's just like, that's just understand that you don't have you may have a calendar and you may have certain things on there and you may get to them and you may not. It just sort of depends. And so, I think if you care, then you're willing to sort of walk around with a decibel meter and sort of understand what the noise levels are, right? And let people know that you care because you've got one, right? And I'm like, yeah.
This is what I'm doing.
This is what we're doing. We're in a meeting now and we're talking, and this is going to be louder than the road noise by a couple of decibels.
So when you think back, 12 years before you were just starting or just getting into it, and you had your preconceived notions of what being a mayor was going to be like, and now you're kind of thinking about what not being a mayor is going to be like. What sticks out in your mind as the one thing that you're like, I did not think it was going to be like this?
I don't.
For the better, for the great.
Listen, there's things that I remember when I first became mayor. It's like I went up and there's this pile of papers to sign, and I'm signing cemetery certificates. Okay, so if you are buying something from the city, at the City of Wenatchee Cemetery, either a plot or a niche, you're having a contract with the city. So who signs contracts for the city? Me. So right. So like day 3, I've got 20 cemetery certificates. I had no idea I'd be signing cemetery certificates. Didn't know that was part of the job. Right. It's just like
bizarre.
Okay,
yeah.
Got to do that. Okay.
Bizarre
so
little
just
tidbit.
check that on the list. And there's just a number of those things, and you start getting in a rhythm for sort of how all that works. And again, that's just one thing. And I think, city government so much is in silos, right? You have your police department over here and they're doing this, and you got the chief that you talk to, and you got your finance department over here and public works. But there's only one person who knows all of that stuff, who can put it in their mind and go, oh, we're going to do this, and this has an effect to the police, and this has an effect to public works, and I got to make a decision here, right? Or the finance. And I think you're the only person who really knows those things. Laura, who works for me, who's my executive services director, she's probably that other one that knows the most about what goes on, because I need somebody to talk to about, hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And so she's the other person. Council members generally that's not their role. Their role is to oversee contracts, pass a budget. I need to report back to them on how we're doing. So they're sort of oversight. They're really not day to day. And I think until you sit in that role and you just, again, the number of things. I remember when I was running for mayor my second time, and the person I was running against, I think he had 3 or 4 decisions that I made that he didn't like. And I go, yeah, that's interesting, because I've been mayor for 365 days in a year times 4. How many days is that? 1,400 days. I'm probably making 6 decisions a day. Right. Some of it about, oh, this is out. Oh, I better call this person first because it's Wenatchee and they'll find out before that person. And I need to make sure that person knows before that person knows. Right.
Yeah.
Or, oh, we're going to do that. Oh, I better call those 3 people that I know in my phone because they're, so it's like, and everything we make or every decision I make is always thought that way. Right. I may not get it right, but it isn't that I didn't think about it. I didn't just like, woo. I said, no, okay, we're going to do this. I got to call these 5 people, or I got to do these 3 things before this becomes public, or I got to do. So I just think there's so many decisions that you make every single day. And then I walk into, new city hall. So we got, 85 employees. And every day I open that front door, better be my best day, right? Because as soon as I walk in and I start throwing my keys or, look miserable, they can see that, right? So you got to walk in every day, and today's a great day, and thank you for your work, and let me go to my office and see. I mean, you literally don't get to have an off day. You just have to be on the entire time.
That's good advice. I think that's good advice for anybody in leadership. But specifically, trying to pass on some good nuggets of wisdom for whoever's going to be sitting in that seat next. As of, right now we have either Mike or Brian, or maybe by the end of the day, we might have 10 more, who knows? Any other pieces of advice for the next mayor?
Be yourself. And I've said this, and you've probably heard me say this, Nikki, a couple of times. I became mayor and I learned about something, and I've known all of the last 4 or 5 mayors in our town. I've been around that long. And I look at something that Jim Lynch signed and I go, what was he thinking? Why would he have done that? Because today it doesn't look like it was the right thing to do, right? Or why did Dennis Johnson, and you know what? Someone's going to look at what I did and go, what was consumed? Why did he? So you don't take it personal, because I was just making the best decision I made with the information that I had at the time that I had it, right? And things change, and not all of the decisions I made are going to be the right ones, right? You hope there's more right ones than wrong ones, but don't feel bad if someone's got a different idea or a different plan. And there are a couple of agreements that I signed that I knew when I signed them, and the council approved them, and I told them and there's a couple that have come back to haunt a little bit, but I don't take it personal, right?
Yeah.
You just do the best you can with the information you have,
That is
and be
superb
confident
advice.
and be confident with it, and know it's not perfect, and you're not going to make everybody happy, right?
That's fantastic advice.
Just as simple as, we remodeled City Hall, right?
Yeah.
And we had a budget for it, and the first time we went out for budget to get a contractor's bid back, it was way over what we had budgeted. So all right, let's stop for a minute. Let's look at what they said. And there were some things that were in the plan that we go, you know what, we don't need these fancy acoustical tiles. We could just do normal acoustical tiles, and we don't have to have all of the marble saved. What if they saved most of the marble? And so we were able to cut out, well over $1 million. We went to bid again, and the bids came in like $3 million less than the first time. And so we were like, we are on. But part of that was we had some council members that said, well, just get rid of the windows. No.
I know you're pretty proud that you came in at budget for that federal building.
But again, we've got 85 employees in there. Don't you want them to have like natural light and their skylights? I don't know if you've been in it, but it's super cool. And it's like, no, we got to do this. This is because and so you have to be bigger picture. You have to say, no, we're going to hold to this. Because as we sit here today, Nikki, and you look around our state, and you look at organizations, any kind of organization, it's like trying to hire engineers, right? So everybody's got money to build stuff, and nobody has engineers. WashDOT out here is short, I think 7 or 8, right? All the big cities are short engineers. We fired 4 engineers in the last 4 months, 2 seniors and 2 juniors. Why? Why are they coming to Wenatchee? Got a cool place to work, cool projects. And you and I think it's a cool place to live, right?
Right, yeah. Okay. Why am I here?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, if we didn't have windows, they wouldn't show up, right? So you got to stay, right? Our police department, right? We have budgeted 45. We have 44 officers, right? In the last 3 years, we've gotten 3 from Seattle. We just got 1 from Austin, Texas. Why are they coming here, right? You try to make it a cool place for us to live, for them to work. They may like to enjoy hiking or skiing. I mean, there are other physical attributes, but also if it wasn't a great place to work, they wouldn't come here. So you can't lose sight of that you're competing against other governments throughout the country, other organizations for your talent. And you want to make sure that you're a preferred place to go to work. And we've tried that really hard, especially over the last 6 or 7 years, to make sure that when we compete with people for employment, that we're winning way more than we're losing.
Yeah. I mean,
that benefits the city. That benefits everybody that lives here if we're hiring great people.
Well, we're constantly, especially coming out of the pandemic, we're constantly trying to always improve and always trying to get better. And we're thinking about the future, and the Confluence Parkway Project is part of that improvement. But as you are going to be moving on, what areas do you think are going to be, where do you think that we can improve as a community, as its relation to city government?
So here's I'll put my 10 years from now. Here's what's going to happen. So you have the 4 major governmental entities in our region. You have the cities of Wenatchee and East Wenatchee, and you have the 2 counties, Chelan County and Douglas County, right? The 2 biggest economic development in our history of our 2 counties are happening as we speak. One in unincorporated Douglas County and one in unincorporated Chelan County. That will completely change the tax structure of our entire region. And I believe you're only as strong as your weakest link in terms of, because we're all, whether it's Douglas County Sheriff's Office or sometimes coming to things. And we all got to be working at this thing together, because that river divides us, but it shouldn't. And the city, since we annexed Old Station 8 or 9 years ago, has really, from a financial standpoint, been one of the leaders of those 4, right? We've managed to get lots of grant dollars, great economic development, lots of large construction projects. You've seen a lot of apartments built, PUD building, just lots going on. Stimul's redone a bunch of stuff. So we've had enough money that when people come and say, hey, can you give us some money for this project or that project, or help the America PAC, we've been able to do that. And some of the other organizations have maybe not as much, right? That's all changing. So all of the money is now going to sit with those 6 elected officials, your 3 Chelan County commissioners and your 3 Douglas County commissioners. If you were to ask me, my biggest concern right now, it's for the city of East Wenatchee, because they do not have the ability to grow. They tried to do an annexation and it got rejected. And if you can't grow and take a little bit of extra money so that you can, in our instance, redo Lincoln Park.
Yeah.
Or put $1 million into Met Hell Park, or put $300,000 or $400,000 into Kinsey's Landing, or the trailhead at Appalachia, or any of those things, right? It's like we're not just taking the money and just going to like stick it in our savings account. We're going to put it back into the community so you can see things. And I want all of our organizations to be able to do that, right? And I think as those winners and losers change, if you were to ask me what keeps me up at night, it's the city of East Wenatchee not being able to do an annexation, not being able to get the revenue that they need to take care of their citizens. And that worries me. We're okay for a while, but we're also 6 or 7 years from not having any more development left, right? Mm-hmm. There's some stuff up in the foothills, the Triad development, the Philippine property. So there's another, 1,000 housing units or so, and then we're going to be done. I don't know where we go next, right? And that's going to be for another mayor to figure out. Yeah. But understand that those Microsoft buildings, the 6-pack in Douglas County and the 6-pack in Malaga, are the largest things. And remember, they pay property tax to whom? The counties. Mm-hmm. Sales tax to the counties. And the two cities will get thank you for coming. And maybe someone will buy a cup of coffee while they're in town, and we'll get 13 cents. But I'm just telling you, when you look at that, be happy for a region, and understand not all of that trickles into all of the governments equally.
So is there anything that the residents, citizens, community members of Wenatchee, Chelan County can do to help support that initiative?
Yeah, I think understanding that the city is inside the county, mm-hmm. and that we should be partnering more and more and more, not less and less and less. And when the counties get sort of regional dollars, which they get some mm-hmm. pass-through dollars from the state, it's okay to spend some of that in the city as opposed to spending all of it in the unincorporated areas. Mm-hmm. Because if we create economic development in the city, then the county gets a piece of that too, because they get some of our sales tax and they get a big chunk of property tax, right? And so we should be able to do this together, not quite as much of well, we're just going to support the unincorporated areas because the city's got the city handled. Mm-hmm. And the city of Chelan's got Chelan handled, and we're just going to deal in the unincorporated areas. Mm-hmm. I think that's a little short-sighted.
Right. Yeah.
But that's been an opinion of mine forever, right? Because you got to remember, I'm the mayor of Wenatchee, right? And it's always Wenatchee first, always. And then it's the region second.
But you have been a great partner of East Wenatchee, and mm-hmm. and a great support to them, and done a lot of collaborative efforts.
Yep. And Mayor Lacey and I got along great, and Mayor Crawford and I get along great. And mm-hmm. she's a wonderful. We were together last night at an event for the Humane Society. And she's great. And I think she's running probably unopposed. I haven't gone to the Douglas County website.
Yeah, I believe she is.
Yeah. So, and she's great. But those are big challenges, right?
Huge.
The challenges that she has are big challenges. Mm-hmm. And she needs a community that understands those challenges and is willing to support them. When we annexed Old Station, I put together a whole committee of business owners. And I said, here's our budget. I don't care. It's all yours. Look at it. Here's what our growth rate is. At that point, it's 1%. Mm-hmm. And it's going to cost us 3 to 4% every year more to operate. Mm-hmm. So you tell me what we look like in 5 years. And they said, yeah, you're going to have to relieve 10 police officers. Yeah. They just went through the whole gamut. And I said, and if you don't let us grow, right? And the natural growth was Old Station. And so they come and they said, you need to annex Old Station. So I went out to the business owners and said, your compadres in business said that you guys need to annex in. And they said, yeah, you're right. We need to annex in. And so huge for us, right? Huge for us in terms of revenue, huge for us in terms of being able to take that money and use it at Met Hell Park and road projects and Lincoln Park and all those things that we all think just magically happen, right? And they happen with tax dollars that we all pay into it, right? And so I'm proud of the fact.
No, I think people realize that they use tax dollars to make that happen. They are very aware of that. For sure. Yeah. You gonna miss it? Are you gonna miss it as you're in the light at the end of the tunnel?
I'm sure I'll miss it, but it'll be weird on Thursday night to be able to actually go home and do something with my wife. And I got some traveling I want to do. I got a grandbaby.
Hopefully, you're gonna take your wife with you.
Yes, I got a grandbaby in Nevada, so I need to spend more time with her. She's 2, so we've already planning some trips. So we've already got some things on the list. And the next year, so people said, "Oh, what are you gonna do?" So
Are you going back to work?
Well, I'm still doing tax returns, right?
Well, yeah.
Just did 800 tax returns last tax season. So next April 15th of 2024, I will have 4 months
All right.
of nothing. So
Okay.
I'm just blocking it out.
You are
I'm
just
telling
waiting.
my tax clients, don't call me. I'll be back after Labor Day.
You are going to be on a boat somewhere.
I've got a few little things I want to do. I want to take my daughter on a trip. She turned 30, so we're going to do a little daddy-daughter trip, and don't know where. Chrissy and I will do some traveling. There's lots of fun stuff to go do, right? I still have never hiked Kolchak. Don't hold that against me. I just haven't done it, so I'm going to hike Kolchak. I got some things.
It's because you're standing on the side of roads with a decibel meter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, maybe I'll take the decibel meter to Kolchak and see. Yeah, but I heard I can't even park near the parking lot because there's too many people. So I got to find it during the week to do it.
Yeah, see, so very telling.
Yeah, there's some things I might even just around here that I want to do. So.
Well, I wish the best for you.
Thank you.
And good luck in your next 7 months.
Thank you.
Thank you for being very generous with your time and energy today. We appreciate it as we move forward. This is an exciting time for the community, and I know for you as well. So
yeah,
thank you.
It's all great. You're welcome, Nikki. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you again soon.
All right, take care.
Thanks. All right, there you go. Lots of time here with Mayor Frank Kuntz of Wenatchee, and he's got up until the end of the year as the mayor of Wenatchee until he hands it over to somebody else. As of right now, I haven't refreshed my browser here in a while, but the last time I checked, it was Mike Poyer and Brian Campbell who have filed in the Chelan County Elections Office for mayor. So it might be just a 2-man race. We got no ladies running this year. Man, I just need to. I'm taking a couple of deep breaths after that one. That was a big one. Whoo-wee. But that was very thorough, and yeah, it was. We got some information. I don't know if we got any new information about the Confluence Parkway project, but yeah, it was good to talk to him about it. I know that actually we did get some new information stuff about that it's going out to bid, and that the project can actually happen in stages, and that it has to that it could get started, and it could actually, once go out into phases and not actually happen for the entire the project could not actually be finished, or could do phase 1 and then they can decide to not do the entire project, or they could just do the walking bridge, and they're still about $10 million short of their budget, kind of, maybe. So it seems like it's a done deal, but there still seems like a lot of question marks around it. So we'll get after this weekend, we'll cut that interview up and get the individual interview with him, and we'll put it up to see the replay up on the YouTube page. Oh man, we are just past 1:00 here on the What's Up Wenatchee podcast. We still have a couple of tickets right here to give away for Touch a Truck. It is happening tomorrow at Wenatchee Valley College. Grayson, are you set? Do you want to come on? I can't really tell. You give me like no visual feedback. I can't get your attention. Trying to get the mayor on, and you're not paying attention to me. You need to be more in tune to me. Always.
I know. And today I've been more trying to work on all of where we are live on our live stream. Trying to be a little more interactive and checking into that. I've kind of checked out of that. So I'm finding that balance. I'm finding that balance between our visual cue contacts and our viewers.
It's all right. We're getting better all the time.
Yes.
Isn't that right?
Yes.
So what was the first reactions to the interview with the mayor?
I don't really have any reactions. I mean, I
What?
thought it was a really great interview between the two of you. I think he came with a lot of information that was informative. I thought that the Q&A went back and forth really well. He did dive into some things that aren't out there,
Right.
right? Like you can go and look at the Confluence Parkway in the paper, right? Or listen to KPQ. You're gonna hit the same information,
Right.
So I think he kind of tried to take some steps to walk through a couple of things and a couple of different properties where a
You're
lot
right,
of this
yeah.
project needs to go through, right? And so he tried to dial that in a way that hasn't been expressed to the citizens here that live in Wenatchee, which I thought was on point for Mayor Kuntz to do something like that. So I hope our viewers are taking something away that they didn't have in terms of information. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. There were a couple of things, and you know me, I always do my research before we do these things. So I know every single piece of information that is out there that has to do with the Confluence Parkway project, right? I know about the Transportation Improvement Board and the council and where they're getting the money from, and they're getting federal grant money, so they have to show where the money is going to, right? They have to earmark the money and they have to show progress. They're not going to get all the money all at once, that it's going to be phased out. And that means that if the project isn't being phased out in the right way, or, they could just end the project, right? And they're not going to offer up that information. But somebody who pays attention and knows that, you could see that he didn't necessarily even come out and say that, even though it was like, hey, they can phase out the project, right? You're going to need the next mayor to finish this project, right? Like he was like, yeah, as soon as it's paid for, to me, the project is done. Well, no, it's not. The project is not done as soon as it's paid for. There's a lot of work still to see the entire project from start to finish.
Absolutely.
Right? Like it's going to be phased out every 2 years. You're going to get money. And if you don't phase, and if they don't want to continue with the project, it's not being phased out in the right way, or if you can't show the federal government the proof in the pudding, they're not going to give you the next set of grant money.
Exactly.
And the project ends right there.
Exactly.
And you don't phase it back out. So you really do need a strong, sturdy governmental figure that's going to be behind this project going into, to take over for you.
Oh no, absolutely. I mean, it's taxpayers need the confidence that this 10 million that they're looking for isn't going to come from their pocket, right?
Yeah.
Because we have the mega Kittrick project going on, and a lot of that money is already coming out of property taxes for everyone who lives here, right, in the side of town. So when he was expressing that, hey, we still have to find where that's going to come from, and the grant that it's going to take, the underwrite for that, he was trying to, I think, make sure that people knew, like, we're not going to come for your pocketbook.
Yeah.
Because
But I don't think he expected me to do math on the air. I'm sorry.
Oh, I know. I don't think he did either. I'm sitting over there doing
Sorry.
math in my head while he's doing these figures, and his figures were pretty on point today.
They were, but I had already done the math before I came on the air, so I didn't have to wait until I was on the air to do the math. I actually did the math this morning. I was like doing the numbers in my head. I was like, wait a minute. These numbers don't add up. And then he came in and was like, yeah, this is going to cost $200 million. So it's like, that's even more money than I hadn't, that it wasn't out there anticipated. So
it's always going to be a bigger number than they never really want to express what that number is.
Oh, sure. Just ask the PUD about their new building, how much more that's costing them.
I don't want to go there with the
We
PD
shouldn't
building.
go there. No, we're not going to go
that's
there.
That's a for both of us. That's a very sensitive subject. But in the grand scheme of things, he was able to come forward and express in greater details than has ever been expressed to the rest of us what it is they're trying to do with this project, why this project has been so important.
Yeah.
Right. And as somebody who studies city planning, it makes a lot of sense. You have to think about what that growth rate's going to be and what it's going to be exponentially at least 10, 15, 20 years out. A lot of people don't think about the growth of where we are. I hate to think about it. I don't like it, but that's the me that kind of grew up here, right? There were always orchards everywhere.
Well, look, even just this wall behind me, you know, one side it's all orchard, the other side it's city. I mean, city, it's what the city is now, which is more city than just orchard. So
Right.
it's going to and it's even been built up in the past 10 years that I've been here, and takes longer to get home than it ever has. It's not gonna get any better.
No, it's not. You know, and another sort of subject is always going to be roundabouts. So people have to understand that traffic lights cost a lot more to put in than a roundabout. And there's a lot more that goes into it that people don't understand. Like, we're not a huge city. We're not Seattle, right? So we don't have somebody that sits behind the scenes. Then we have lights that are timed. We don't have somebody that's able to look at watchdog, you know, and change cameras or change lights when they need to be changed based on the flow of traffic. We don't have things like that.
They're finally putting in a traffic light at 9th in East Wenatchee. I don't know what they're doing over there, but they changed the lanes.
They changed the lanes. You can no longer make that left turn there.
But then now it looks like they're putting in a stoplight. They put the poles up for a stoplight. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, they did all that work to change the lanes, and then now they changed the lanes again for, like, you just changed the lanes.
It's to divert traffic, and you have to be able. This is the thing. We look at this, right, as you and me, and we're like, this change is confusing. You just changed it, and now you're changing it again. But
I'm just like, what are you doing?
It's the city planning. They have to plan in stages. So that project is a staged project to divert traffic. There's like a whole means behind it that if you're not in planning and zoning, you don't understand, right? So that's what they're doing over there. It's confusing now. But when they get it accomplished and finished, it will make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
It started with changing how 9th Street looked, right? Mm-hmm. And making a couple change ups there on which directions we're going where, right? And now it's changing into this whole other thing. It's taking on another. So it's the second phase of it. And there'll be a third phase of it. And then it'll be done. And we'll just get adjusted to it. It's kind of how it works, but for the future,
I don't really care.
Out there, it'll improve it. That's the whole goal, is to improve the traffic flow. We haven't paid enough attention to our roadways here in the last 20 years, and we've had all this exponential growth.
Listen, I'm trying not to be a cynic. You know what I'm saying? Like I was saying to Frank Kuntz, the mayor that we just talked to, I said, you know, I tend to want to have faith and trust the people that we put into leadership, that they are trying their best and focused on their job and doing what they think is right for the whole. And that's what he said he's trying to do. And I take him at his word until there's reason to believe otherwise. I know it doesn't always seem that way, but when things like this, yes, it's kind of annoying with this traffic light. And I'm like, what's going on? They just changed the line. I don't understand city planning. I really don't. It's just not my thing, but I trust, I guess, whatever, that they're trying to do something that's better for the whole.
They are for the most part, as long as people realize that there's a lot of different projects going on kind of all at one time.
Oh, there
And
is.
you've got a city planner who's really trying to learn the job right now. It's a lot to take on. It's a whole thing that sometimes I forget to have a lot of respect for. But at the same time, there is a lot of different projects going in, and I know there are people that are really mad because there's a lot of roundabouts, but roundabouts are there to help the flow of traffic. That can always be changed going forward into the future. I have to tell myself that sometimes. Some of them are going to be permanent, but nothing is permanent in life. Change is really what it's all about.
Oh, you're getting deep today. Oh
I
my
know,
God. The only thing permanent in life is change.
Well, it's true, right? And so I've had to sit and think about things. I mean, you know how I feel about the Confluence Parkway. And I know that it's important.
Differing levels of excitement.
Yeah, exactly.
Like our opinions on the Leavenworth Adventure Park, we have differing levels of excitement.
I'm excited. I'm super excited. I know you're not.
I'm not as excited as you, apparently.
And what gets me is I know that you grew up in Vernon, Jersey.
No. Don't tell my story. No.
And I know that
it's not your story to tell.
Stuff.
It's not your story to tell.
Be excited.
No, it's not your story to tell, my friend. Okay, it's not. Anyway, so just to wrap up our conversation about the mayor and Confluence Parkway Project, I did take him to task on the environmental issue and the Haran Conservatory, and he got a little defensive. Did you notice he got a little defensive about that, which is fine, but it is a sensitive issue. Right. And I think it's because he got a little defensive because he knows that that there's more that still needs to be done in that area. Right.
Oh, absolutely. Because the environmental impact to that area is exponentially extremely important. Right. We have bald eagles throughout that area.
I think that everybody that's involved knows that there needs to be follow-up. You can't just do a land swap and be like, all right, we figured it out. All right.
There's
all the land's okay. All the animals are going to be fine. We're just going to make a big thing with all the cars and the exhaust, and it's all going to be good. No, I don't think that is, I don't think anybody is under the naive impression that is going to be sufficient. So they don't want to deal with it, but they have to deal with it.
Which is why he was defensive about it, because he does realize that that's a protected area.
Yeah.
And he does realize that he doesn't want to have, a bunch of protesters on his coattails, right? Because this is his baby. This is his project. This is his send off goodbye legacy, right?
But at the same time, he's protective of the fact that they are trying to prevent this, which I didn't know. They're trying to prevent this 96 unit apartment complex from being built right down there where the entrance to the parkway would be. So
I know that was something that was talked about and brought up from going to town hall meetings. I never thought that was something that would ever truly come to fruition. Like I never really thought that family that owns that land was going to actually follow through. But I mean, I'm happy he brought it up. I mean, because it is something that actually was talked about. I just never heard steps of actually making it happen. Right?
I don't know.
And that's why he said it's zone residential, and because it is, we have to allow them the right to build as that zoning, right? That's what he kept trying to emphasize to you, right? And then you
I know, and I understand. I was just trying to make the point that maybe it goes back to when you originally zoned that area. Like if it's a protected area, then why is it zoned for residential?
How it got rezoned for that, I can't tell you, because
neither could he.
a lot of things have gotten rezoned in the last decade, and like in some areas you're like it was commercial and it became residential and then it went back to commercial,
Right.
and you're like, what, how does that work?
I mean, it is a moot point. If it's
But it
if it's zoned
happens.
for residential, then it's zoned for residential. There's nothing that you can do unless you try to get it rezoned, or
Which is what
you
he
try
said.
to get the city to buy the land, which is what they're trying to do.
That's exactly what
Yeah.
they were trying to do, because they didn't want to have to go to, they didn't want legal obligations to take them off course.
Yeah.
Right. So they had to try and find this new way to finagle and make it work. Right.
Yep.
That's kind of basically what he was saying. I'm just going to say it for what it was. They had to find a new way to work with that family to acquire that land to be able to do this project. End subject. You could put it in a very brief place, just like that.
All right. Are we ready to move on from this?
Can we?
I'm ready to have a little bit of fun today for the
Okay.
rest of the show.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to try something right now. These couple of tickets. So just so everybody knows, if you don't recognize where we are right now, because, we're someplace different every week, we are broadcasting live from the Wenatchee Valley Museum and Cultural Center in their Apple Classroom. And it's a really, really cool place. This whole place is just amazing. I can't wait to bring Trenton here because he's right at the age where he will appreciate it for sure. Miss Vidal and the blocks and the train and all of the stuff. So
there's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. So we are kind of in the annex part. This is where this is. But I have 2 tickets for tomorrow's Touch a Truck event at the Wenatchee Valley College. And these are care of Chris Cormier from Safe Light. And he gave me these Safe Light Auto Glass. I just made a new jingle. Safe Light Auto Glass.
Meanwhile, I'm thinking the old one in my head.
No, don't do it.
Oh.
I like the new one. The new one's fun. Anyway, Safe Light Auto Glass. Safe Light Auto Glass. I did it again. Let's talk about the event just a little bit. It's tomorrow between 10 and 3 at the college, and that's where they have all the dump trucks and the cranes, fire trucks, garbage truck, all of them.
All the big trucks.
All the big trucks. The first hour, 10 to 11, is quiet hour. So no horns, no engines, no nothing. So if you have a kiddo that is sound sensitive, then you want to go between 10 and 11. But after 11, the noise starts and everybody goes beep, 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 beep. Honk, honk. Yeah, and then the engines kind of run and it gets loud. And it is a fundraiser event for the Women's Service League of North Central Washington. And who are they? They are an umbrella nonprofit group that do fundraisers throughout the year, and then they give out grants to other nonprofit groups that are mostly female oriented, female helping, female forward. So like SAGE, the YWCA, and other ones, but they do help a bunch of different places. So, but they give out grants every year, and this is one of their fundraisers. So they also do My Girlfriend's Closet. They do a prom dress giveaway for high school girls, and they are just doing some amazing work. And it's an all women volunteer organization too. So it also helps empower women to give back in their community as well. Really, really awesome. So if you would like a pair of these tickets, and it just says complimentary ticket valid for 1 adult or 1 child. So you can go either, you and another adult and bring your kid, pay a kid, or one or the other. So, we're here for another 35, plus minutes at the museum. If you want these tickets, where am I? Here. And you can meet us here at the museum, the first person to get here
to the Apple Classroom.
Well, or to the museum, and they can whatever, message us that they are here, and we'll give them these tickets. First person to get to the museum gets a pair of tickets to Touch a Truck.
Oh yes, Touch a Truck. This is important. If you've got a little one that loves this, and I don't know what little kid doesn't like stuff like this, this is free tickets to go. You want to go.
Well, the other deal is, once you get in to Touch a Truck, there is Chris with Safe Light will be there. He's going to have his Safe Light van, and he always has some kind of game or something. But the big thing that he's doing this year is that he has a big giveaway for the parents. Right?
Of course.
So you can go to his van, his booth. I said go to his van. That just sounds creepy, doesn't it? But
it does.
Go to the Safe Light booth and enter into the raffle giveaway with Chris, and that has a whole bunch of stuff in it, including some Darling Productions, Darling podcast swag. So you get like some stickers and a keychain with that, which Chris, I'll make sure I get that over to you tomorrow. Okay. But also he's got some stuff from Hobby Lobby, Fred Meyer, Franz Bread Store, Denny's, Grocery Outlet. This is all in the prize pack. Hooked on Toys, Country Inn, Town Toyota, Town Nissan, England Chiropractor up in Lake Chelan, Bruce Cheadle State Farm, the Nutcracker Museum up in Leavenworth, Boulder Bend Glassworks, Les Schwab in East Wenatchee, and Safe Light, and me, of course. So that is a pretty cool prize pack. Like, there's a lot of stuff in there that he just wanted to do himself and get something together. So if you can get here to the museum, I'll get you in to Touch a Truck for free. And then you can go enter in for that free, huge prize pack for parents. Okay. So, he said this is his 5th year doing Touch a Truck. Yay. You love doing these kinds of things. We never did get to talk about the recap for, we love doing events, right? Like, events are our jam. We love doing this show, right? Like, doing a live show is a lot of fun. But if you have never been out to see us live at an event, we really get into it, like me and you and the street team. It's always a lot of fun doing, and we do karaoke, but when we did Classy Chassis and
that was so much
it was
fun.
so much fun. We had not the whole street team. We had a couple of the street team members out there with us, and we kind of lost some time last week, and we didn't get a chance to really do a recap, but I wanted to pull up this video because I finally got this video of when we did this, what was it? The car smash that the East Wenatchee Rotary was doing. They got a silver PT Cruiser that was like brand new when they got it there. They took out the windows so you couldn't smash the windows. They put it behind a gate, and they gave you sledgehammers and gloves. You can put gloves on. And they gave you a minute. You paid $5 or something.
Yes.
And you got a minute to just smack the crap out of this PT Cruiser with a sledgehammer.
Yeah, and it was a used one, and they'd actually pulled out a lot of the interior. They pulled out all the glass. They pulled out the motor, obviously. So it's the shell of the vehicle, but it was in pretty. I took photos of this.
Yeah,
it was in pretty really because I took photos when we got there and what it looked like. I took photos when Classy Chassis was done.
Right. Yeah, and so I have a little video here of me smashing up this PT Cruiser. And right before I went in, I was standing next to a lady, this is so funny, who owned a PT Cruiser, was just so proud of her PT Cruiser. And she was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing that to my baby." And I was like, it's not actually your baby. Like, that's a different PT Cruiser. She was just so distraught that the sister PT Cruiser in there was just getting pummeled upon.
But it's for a good cause.
It was for a
very
good
good cause.
Yeah, raising money for East Wenatchee Rotary. So this is me and a sledgehammer.
This was so much fun.
Oh, there! You know what? I'm gonna do it from here because it actually has sound to it.
I hope that we've omitted anything that I've recorded with swear language.
Oh,
I really got
I don't
into
think
it.
there was swear language. I didn't swear.
Oh, it might have been when Doug was taking. I mean, because I got the street team and you guys were just going to town on this.
Oh, okay.
Put it up. Let's see it. This is a lot of fun.
Woo!
Yes! Yes! Yeah.
I mean, you're just swinging away. You're just having a lot of fun.
Yeah!
I think I had a lot of aggression to get out.
Yes!
I think so. Like, I feel like that one part of the car, like the driver's side, was very angry. You had extra energy somehow.
I don't know where any extra energy would ever come from.
Yeah, girl. Yes.
There's Camille. Camille going, get it, girl. Get it.
A bumper!
Hey.
Camille really got into it too. It was fun to watch you ladies really take your swings at this. And I had no idea how much energy you put into it till you came out. Like, so it wasn't just like it's fun to watch. Like it was a workout. Right?
It was a workout. It was a really awesome workout. And I feel like I looked great doing it. I just want to put that out there. I was like,
you
yes,
did.
it looked great.
Everyone that participated, especially the street team, and you looked great just doing it. Like, you guys made it look like fun. I was super jealous because I can't do something like that.
Right.
But it was
a lot
of
of
fun.
Yeah. So kudos to them for having that great idea, that great fundraising idea. And man, the whole event was a lot of fun. And so you can always keep track of where we're going to be at if you follow us on our social media, Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff, because there's going to be more fun events throughout the summer and the fall and moving forward. So maybe even some more car shows.
Hey, I heard from you actually that you're going to get to do Classy Chassis next year. I encourage people to come out. It was so cool. Okay, so for everyone who's been to Classy Chassis over the last few decades, it's now nothing like it ever was. Mm. You can walk around those fields and hear music around the entire event.
Yeah.
Like, you made that happen. Like, you came on and you were like, hey, I'm going to take this like small town event and I'm going to
it's been like that in the past. They just, I think they haven't had that in the past couple of years. So now they're moving back to big sound and music and partying. And I was happy to be able to help out in whatever way.
It was a lot of fun. We had the Marines next to us.
Yeah, the Marines. Yes.
Right. And we were right by the big stage, right, where all the awards took place.
Yeah.
That you also emceed.
Yeah.
And we had the mayor there, which she's a pretty cool lady.
Oh, she is. Cheryl Crawford is very nice. Like, she was out there early in the day, like helping set up tents and like pole fencing. And it's very impressive to me to see mayors who are boots on the ground and helping out, because that means they're really in it for the community. They love their community. They love to do whatever they can to help.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, but it was just a lot of fun. I mean, I do feel they made this event bigger than the last 5 to 8 years. I mean, there was more food vendors, right? It was just, there was a lot going on. So
Yeah.
it was a lot of fun, and I got to go out and talk to a lot of these old timers with their cars, and they're shaking their heads like, "Do you like this? Oh yeah, we love it. Would you have Nikki back? Oh yeah, I'd have Nikki back." So it was a lot of fun. So I encourage anyone to for next year for Classy Chassis, definitely come out and check out what Darling Productions has in the works.
Thanks. Yeah. And I am working with the city of East Wenatchee. They've got a couple other events coming up this summer. The Pangbourne Festival of Flights is July 8th up at the airport, which sounds like it's going to be really flippin' cool. They're bringing in 100 vintage planes from all over that are going to be on display for people to look at, plus Miss Vidal, and it looks really, really cool. So there's that one, and they have a new event that's going to be happening in August, which I don't know if I can talk about just yet, so I don't think I can say it, but just know that there's another new one with some other classic cars that will be happening in downtown East Wenatchee. So as I get information, I will, or allow you to give out the information, I will do that. But Grayson, I am feeling a little bit anxious today.
Why?
I have a bit of anxiety.
Uh-oh.
I have to admit.
Why? What's happening? Is it what? Why? What's happening?
Well, all my boys are out of town, and that makes me anxious.
Wait, all your
Not
boys?
all of my boys. 2 out of the 3 of my boys are out of town.
Okay.
All right.
That's fair.
So Trenton is still in town, my baby. He's still here with me, but my stepson Logan left for a metal festival and he got on a plane with 3 other of his guy 17, 18-year-old friends, because that's not trouble. And got on an airplane and went to Florida, of all places. People in Florida are crazy.
He's getting to have an adult life experience.
And they're going to a 3-day metal festival where they're camping.
This is going to be awesome.
Oh my gosh.
I'm excited.
It's going to be amazing for him. Just amazing. But you and I both know that debauchery will be had.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just going to be total debauchery. And I said, listen, call me if you need anything. I have family in Florida. Just be careful. Keep your eyes open. Remember where you park. I don't know. I don't even think they're driving, but I'm just like, don't eat anything that you don't know what it is. As he's leaving, he came over the other night to pick up a sleeping bag, and they're literally walking out of the house and down the driveway, and I'm just yelling random things at him. He's not even looking at me. He's walking away from me. I'm yelling at his back, and I'm like, just be careful. Carry protection. Don't talk to strangers. Talk to strangers, but be nice. Just whatever I could think of.
And the mom in you is out in full force.
Full capacity, full force. He's getting on a plane. He's going to Florida. There's crazy people there. The heat makes people just go out of their minds. And
he's going to be okay.
I know he's going to be okay. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
He's a quiet guy, but yeah, he has a really good head on his shoulders. I get to run into him every once in a while around town, so I can tell you that he's always on the up and up. He's a pretty good guy.
And then
there's that mom in you again.
I can't even be like, don't do drugs. I can't tell him. I'm not his mom, I'm just a stepmom. But then Ryan he left just when the show started about an hour and a half ago to go to Seattle. He's going to the West Side, and he's going to a metal show, but in Seattle, and he's staying overnight with his buddies. He's going with, they're both doing the same thing. Like father, like son.
But I feel like Ryan doing it was a little more irritating to you.
No. He's fine. He's fine. It's irritating that I don't get to go. I would like to go spend a night overnight and go to a concert and have fun and stay in a hotel and do all of that. But no, it's cool. I'll get to go maybe in 10 years or something. So, but
wow, don't sell yourself short. I'm sure it'll happen sooner than that.
I think it is a little bit of jealousy, a little bit of envy on my part that they're all away and having fun. But I get anxious because, you know, they're away and I worry about them when they're not around and not in town.
But the good thing is you get some peace and you get some Trenton time.
Yeah.
Just
Trenton and I are going to have
mommy,
a dance party
yeah.
tonight, just the two of us.
And he's going to like that. And you're going to love that.
Yeah. I know. We might, I don't know. We might do something
It's going to be
fun.
quiet.
We might just invite everybody over and do a dance party.
There you go. Why not?
I'm not used to quiet. I don't know what to do with quiet.
Invite April over.
Yeah. So I want to tell you, did you get the invite for Trenton's birthday party?
I did.
Okay.
For Trenton Logan graduation.
Yes.
Trenton's second birthday.
So I want to tell the people about this. So my baby, my little Trenton baby, is not a baby anymore. Okay. In less than a month, he is going to be 2 years old. June 13th, my little Gemini child is going to be 2. And so here I am, you know, event planner going, I need to plan a birthday party for my son. And we're going to do it at the house. And I was trying to think of, you know, a theme or whatever. So you've met my son.
Oh, yeah. I know his number one favorite, you know, character in the world.
Yeah. The kid from the second he wakes up is Elmo.
Yep.
Elmo. Everything is Elmo all the time. And now actually is since I've made this invite and picked out this theme, he has now started to love cars. Like he loves cars, like the little Matchbox cars, but the movie cars, we've started watching those because I just needed something different other than Elmo to watch. Like we've moved on from Miss Rachel and it was like Elmo's World. Like so many episodes of Elmo's World. And I love it, but I needed something else. So we went to Cars. So now it's like he wakes up and he's like, Elmo Cars. But so we decided on a theme for his second birthday of, can you tell me how to get to, because he's going to be 2, Trenton Street. I thought this was adorable.
Very adorable.
So I made this graphic for his birthday party. You know, 'cause everybody does that, right? You know, you make graphics for kids' birthday.
You do. You're an event planner. Most people, they kind of throw things together.
No, you mean not everybody does this?
No, I think this is a good for messy moms. This would be a great episode for messy moms.
The Messy
How to
Moms
plan
Club
for
podcast.
your child's birthday while being a mom and trying to work at the same time. When you're Nikki, you have time to throw a graphic together.
Right. Yeah, sometimes. So there's my little baby. Yeah, this is the graphic that goes with the party, right? So it's going to be an Elmo Sesame Street themed birthday party at the house. But then I'm talking with Ryan, and Logan is graduating high school. It's official. He's graduating June. So I don't know, is the date on here? No, the date isn't on here. So we made the date for Trenton's birthday, Saturday, June 10th. And because that's when it worked. The weekend before, you either do the weekend before or the weekend after. We did the weekend before. So we just realized that Logan's graduation from high school is June 9th, literally the day before.
Right.
That's fine. My world, if it's happening an entire day earlier, that's fine. I can fit about at least 37 things within one day. So that's fine. But then we're like, well, we want to give Logan a graduation party. We're going to do it the next week. That doesn't seem right. We're going to do it on Sunday. That means we're doing a party on Saturday and a party on Sunday. No. Well, Logan wants his party later in the day. Okay, well, why don't we just do it back to back? We'll do one and then we'll do the other.
That makes sense, right?
So we decided to do that. So I made another graphic and added it to the event and made it more Logan-esque. And there he is. I took him one of his senior pictures. And it says, "Can you tell me how to graduate from Wenatchee High?" And it's a metal Elmo and some drippy blood because this is how I know how to parent. This is how I parent. This is how I know how to show love through very specific graphics. This is not amusing to you?
I'm amused. I don't know.
I'm seeing no amusement in your face. You're showing no amusement. I thought this was amusing.
I'm mixed feelings.
What?
How does Logan feel about it?
I don't know. I don't think he's seen it.
Oh, no. Well, I'm going to go with, if I had to think like him, it's pretty bad bleep that you put that together.
Oh, you think he would appreciate it?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. I thought you were going to say that he would thought it would be dumb.
No,
No,
because you put the metal Elmo in there.
Right.
So,
Okay.
you kind of, it would have been cool if Elmo would have had like a mohawk, but I'm partial to that. I don't think Logan really cares about that. I think that you did a really good job.
Just trying to save some time here.
And the drippy blood, I think he will really appreciate.
It was a nice touch. Yeah, that was the last minute ad there.
It's a cool graphic. You have so many things you do throughout the day, so I'm actually quite shocked that you put two graphics together for
Thanks.
two separate parties.
Well, so that's what's happening, and I'm trying to get rid of my anxieties. But once my boys are back in town, I'll feel a little more settled. I know I'm not the only one who is like that.
No,
that worries about their people when they're not around. All right, I just want to remind people that if you are wanting these pair of tickets to Touch a Truck for tomorrow, all you got to do is we're going to give them away to the first person who comes over to the Wenatchee Valley Museum and grabs them from us. Wherever you are, if you see this, just comment and be like, "I'm here, we're at the museum," and I'll have Grayson run out and give them to you. Or you can wait until we're off the air and we'll get a picture. You could say hi. All right, so why are you so excited, Grayson, for the Leavenworth Adventure Park? Why is this so exciting to you?
Because I don't have to go far out of the way to go check out this new roller coaster. I like roller coasters.
Me too. I'm a roller coaster person.
And it's gonna be in my own backyard. I haven't had a roller coaster in my backyard since high school, junior high.
Right. Same. So, yeah, I mean, I grew up in a place that had adventure-ish park and roller coasters not far away. Yeah.
So that's exciting. I mean, and it's in Leavenworth. I mean, it's just not really kind of the place that you would picture to have something like that. So the excitement for me is it's going to be in a location that I last expected there to be something going on. Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I think of Leavenworth. I think of the Bavarian Village. I think of wineries. That kind of thing. I think of Highway 2 and the scenic drive coming in and out of town. Okay. I think of all the spicy mustards. Let's just level. I think about the food.
There is an allure, the coaster going through the scenic scenery and the trees and seeing all of that. I think there is.
So the appeal of that is for me is really high. Because otherwise, if I want to go on a roller coaster, I need to go to California because that's like the closest, coolest place to have roller coasters. I'm just going to be honest.
About Slidewaters? Or not Slidewaters. The other one.
Slidewaters, by the way, has its own special thing that's coming up that I'm excited to do. But for roller coasters, no. Like
The
I'm
place
not going to Idaho.
the place in Idaho.
Not going to Idaho for a roller coaster. I'm brown. I don't go to Idaho. I know people don't appreciate that. I don't care. I just never had a really good experience. I have gone to Idaho very recently to the water park there and felt very uncomfortable. But that's a story for another day.
Right.
So I'll go to California. I'll go to Six Flags. I'll go to Disneyland.
Okay.
If I want to ride a roller coaster, that's the closest place. If I had my way, I go to the East Coast because the East Coast has some of the best scary rides and roller coasters.
Well, sure. The
United
entire
States.
Eastern Seaboard, you've got different Six Flags, Great Adventures. You've got, what is it? Busch Gardens. You've got Disney World down in Florida. You've got different places, plus all the boardwalks all along the different piers on the Jersey Shore. And there's different boardwalks in different areas. So for sure, I mean, in this aspect, I think the East Coast has got it nailed down.
Yet you say it with kind of like this very sad, like, yeah, the East
because
Coast
because I know that people don't like admitting that the West is not the best at something.
Really, I can telling you right now, the West isn't the best at a lot of things. I grew up.
The West is not the best at pizza. I will tell you that much. I am sorry to every pizza place is like, we got New York style pizza. No, you freaking don't have New York style pizza. And that will be for a whole nother show. But listen, I am not as excited about the adventure park. I get the appeal. I get the allure. I totally do. But I grew up in a town that is a lot like Wenatchee, right? A lot like this area. I know it. When I say I grew up in New Jersey, people are like, no, it's more industrial. And they think of Newark, New Jersey, and the airport. It's not like that where I grew up anyway. We're called the Garden State for a reason.
Jersey, right? Even though on the map it looks really small, it's actually really big.
Yeah, it is. It's a pretty big area.
Different. It's very different depending on what area.
And the area that I grew up in was a mountainous area. It had a mountain and a valley, and it was rural like this. And so, and it had a ski resort, just like around here, but not like around here. The ski resort went right through the middle of town. And it had a lot. So it was a ski resort in the wintertime and a water park in the summer. So winter and summer, you literally were clogged up with tourists from all over the world because it had timeshares and there were condos and that people stayed in the timeshares. And it just, as a person who did grow up in that area, I knew what it was like for that area to evolve and grow and expand as it got older. And yes, we all worked at the ski resort. Every person worked there. Every person worked at the water park. Every person worked at someplace there. So in that aspect, it's great for the economy, but we hate you couldn't drive. The traffic was awful.
You just touched on something that people that are born and raised here feel all the time.
But imagine what you feel like if you lived in Leavenworth, not Wenatchee. Imagine if you were born and raised right now, if you were 80 years old or even older, and you were one of those heritage people that believed in the growth and saw the future of what a place like Leavenworth or Lake Wenatchee or Lake Chelan could have been, that are going to be like in the future. And you invested, you bought property there, you built your house there, you built your second house there, you built your vacation home there. You handed it down to your next of kin, and you handed it down, and that next of kin developed that land and kept investing.
And that's happened in Leavenworth.
And the property taxes keep going up. It's hard enough to keep paying those property taxes. Then what happens? They built it up, and there's so much traffic, and there's so much tourism, and there's so much property damage, and there's so much there's so much dirt and garbage and graffiti and people and drunkenness during Oktoberfest, and that you're bringing more tourism there, that the people who were born and raised and helped build that area don't even want to live there anymore because they can't even drive to their house. That's why I'm not as excited about it as you.
For Leavenworth's sake, because I have a lot of people I know of different age groups that born and raised in Leavenworth. Leavenworth has always been like that. It has always been a Bavarian town.
Yeah.
Everything has to be built to code of the Bavarian style. It doesn't matter if you're a McDonald's or
a gas station
store down the street. And people have handed their properties down through generations. And things have changed and things have grown and things have developed. And this is a vision that goes back to the 60s. I have friends that lived in Leavenworth, grew up in the 60s in Leavenworth and hated it because, like you, that's what they did. They worked at the ice cream parlor.
Right.
Everyone worked at the ice cream parlor. Everyone slung hot dogs. Everyone worked at the ye old toy shop or the ye old curiosity store. And you always had tourists. But it's always been like that. It's just more and more and more and more and more because that was the vision.
Mm-hmm.
That was the vision. And it's expected. And a lot of those people now live in an outskirts of town or have moved out of town because it's too much. But that was the vision of how that town kind of
but you can moderate.
on the map.
Come on. A good example would be, let's look at this, the podcast network, right? The vision for the podcast network is to grow and expand and be an area and a forum for free speech. But that doesn't mean that I have to allow abuse and hate speech and let everybody on the network and let them have free reign.
That's true. The only thing that I'm going to disagree with you on is that knowing that my family is from here and knowing I've spent a lot of time here, I've always wanted Wenatchee to not be what it is to become. I don't want it to be tourist.
Right.
I don't want tourism. I don't want all that. I know why Mission Ridge went in, and I feel that that's great because otherwise you had Stevens Pass. It's a little bit farther away. But this is the Apple capital, and it's in the next 20 years not going to be able to have that lay claim to fame at all. It's going to be gone. So this is my personal thing that's coming out of me right now that I'm going to say that I see the tourism board for Wenatchee and I see all these things that we want to do. And then all this exponential growth comes through and from tourism. And tourism is saying, look at all these things that you can do in Wenatchee, you guys, during the summer and the way you can go snowshoeing and you can go to Mission Ridge and you can go hiking in the summer and you can go up and down the Columbia River from dam to dam, in the summer. And, you can go like paragliding. There's all these activities.
Yeah.
You can go wind sailing through the gorge. That's great. But I moved here because I moved from a big city, and one thing I absolutely hate is I hate tourism. We can agree on that.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in a time when Seattle was so small, it wasn't like it is today. Until the Seahawks actually won the Super Bowl, nobody knew where Seattle was on the map. Conan O'Brien made jokes about it. All these people made jokes. Jay Leno used to make jokes about it. Where is Seattle? No one knew where Seattle was. And now everyone knows where Seattle is. And now it smells like urine. There's graffiti everywhere.
I don't think Wenatchee's going to get to that point. There's going to be natural.
I feel like that progression is the progression of what happens when you come from a smaller place that's trying to bring in revenue. Eventually you grow and grow and grow and grow and you become that. And so going back to where you started with the adventure park, that's kind of Leavenworth.
Yeah.
It started out somewhere and now here we are. And I'm excited about this roller coaster ride. It's probably not that great, but in my mind, I've built it up to be like something of Six Flags potential. And people, I'm not talking about Six Flags and Federal Way. I'm talking like the real Six Flags with the actual real roller coasters that do twists and turns and go up steep come down really steep, inclines. So
If it
I'm
doesn't,
excited.
if it doesn't
I'm
have
excited.
at least one loop-de-loop, it's not a real roller coaster to me.
That's East Coast talking right there. You don't
I am
see a lot of
little
those out
snobby
here.
in certain areas for sure. But it opens June 1st, this adventure park. Washington's first alpine coaster includes Tumwater Canyon, Icicle Ridge, Wenatchee River Rapids. It's free to get into, but then you have to pay for the different activities. They have an alpine ascent climbing wall built on the side of the guest service building, 27 feet alpine ascent climbing wall, Bavarian bungee bounce trampoline.
That sounds exciting.
A mining sluice for kids. They can pan up to 20 gemstones.
Trenton would love
my
that.
gosh.
Trenton he would never want to leave that place.
Yay. June 1st on a limited schedule, Thursday to Monday from 12 to 5. And so you can go on their website, check it out. I mean, I'm going to go.
It's going to be
gonna
packed.
check it out.
Of course you are.
Duh.
Don't judge us. We're not the
yeah,
East Coast.
I'm just, it's fine. It's fine. I love it here. You know that.
I know.
But literally, the one of the main you got to look up Action Park. Okay, Action Park at Vernon, New Jersey was where I grew up. It was deemed one of the most dangerous adventure action park water parks in history.
Yeah, you told me. So I did go and look at it. And I'm like, how is that a small town? When I saw that, I was like, how is
one
this?
of the, I think it was one of the only upside down, fully enclosed loop-de-loop water slides. So it was a tube that you went down and then it went upside down. And then you came out the other. Imagine going upside down in the dark in water slide.
Well,
it was terrifying.
Considering that I enjoy going to the Purple Haze up at Slide Waters in Chelan, I probably really enjoy that.
But people would get stuck.
Oh, I believe it.
In the loop. They would get stuck at the top of the loop and then they couldn't get down. It was totally dangerous. And then there was an actual thing, really, you want to talk about Alpine, called the Alpine Slide that was so dangerous that if you were like me and you lived there, and everybody has an Alpine Slide scar. I've got mine right here. Everybody's got an Alpine Slide scar because the whole park was so dangerous. They had to shut it down. Back in the 90s, they shut it down. And they did a whole documentary on it. And
I saw that online, that there is an actual documentary on this adventure park. And yet now, because you made me look at it, now I want to go.
No.
I just want to go there and be like, I know Nikki Darling, you guys, and I want to ride all the rides here.
Well, it's not called Action Park anymore. They had to reinvent themselves. It's now called Mountain Creek.
It's still really big.
So when I moved here in the place up, this place was called Mission Ridge. I used to call it Mountain Creek all the time because I was like, it's Mountain Creek. And they're like, what is Mountain Creek? I was like, it's the ski resort. Because that's what they call it. They called it Mountain Creek Ski Resort and Water Park. I was like, it's Mountain Creek. They're like, we've never heard of Mountain Creek before.
Yeah, you gotta Google that stuff. We were talking about that in the office, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna take you up. I'm gonna look and see how dangerous this is. And I was actually really like, there's been some severe accidents that have happened at that particular place.
Yeah.
So you were right. I'm not saying I was saying that it didn't happen. I just didn't realize it was to the scale.
Oh, so. Yeah. All right. So we're not saying that that's what's going to happen there. But yeah, we do have to wrap up today's show. We are a little bit after 2:00. We still have these pair of tickets for Touch a Truck for tomorrow at the Wenatchee Valley College. If you get here before we leave, the first person to snag these tickets, they are yours. But there's one last point that I want to make before, or not even point that I want to make. There's just one more thing that I would like to talk about, spend a couple of minutes talking about it, tell this story, because I teased it earlier, and I don't ever want to not talk about things that we've teased, and just be like, oh yeah, we didn't get to it, so we're not going to talk about it. Because I had mentioned that I wanted to tell this story about something that happened. I'm going to say this happened within the past 6 weeks.
Okay.
Okay. It happened within the past 6 weeks where we heard people, I'm not going to say who, what, where, when, why, or any of it.
Okay.
We overheard some people talking unkindly about us.
It was a little unkind. Yeah.
And so what do you do in that situation when how do you handle it? What do you think? How do you process it? And there's a lot of different ways that you could take it and process it. But I'm always trying to do my mental processing in a healthy way, right? I'm trying to be the best person, that I could possibly be, and not be bitter, vindictive, or hurtful. So I try to do these things. But so I was reminded of a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said, "Great minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Small minds discuss people." And I just kept having that go through my mind. And I'm like, well, I don't want to go and turn around and talk about people, right? Because that just makes it just as bad. So, I want to talk about ideas, right? And so I did some research online. I actually found this really good research from it's called herway.net, and she said she lists these 4 reasons that people might talk about you and what you could do about it. And I'm not always about reading self-help blogs and
Okay,
things.
but what did this have to say?
But she was good. I liked this one because she was saying that you 4 reasons that people might talk about you is that you are making things happen, you're making things happen for yourself, and in that in turn that makes people uncomfortable. And people don't know what to do with their uncomfortability. So they don't know. And their first reaction is to attack somebody who is doing well. And instead of, and that could be a learning experience for us.
So awkward gossip.
Well, it could be we don't try and judge people for how they react. We can use it as a learning experience for ourselves, saying, do I do that? Right? When I look at somebody else doing well in life, do I immediately get some kind of pang of jealousy or want to talk about it in a negative way? Or do I look at that person and go yeah, they're doing great. I'm feeling really happy for them, or I'm really excited for them, or really proud of them. It all comes back to that self-reflection. And if you are feeling a little bit jealous or envious or bitter or want negative towards somebody else's success, that doesn't have to do with them. That has to do with you. Why am I feeling negatively about somebody else's success? I don't know. Maybe because I'm feeling uncomfortable about where I am in life, or I'm feeling uncomfortable about what I'm not doing to, make my life better, or, some kind of aspect about my own life that I'm not happy with. So that was, that made me take pause. And I like the fact that she made you look back at yourself and made me put myself in the position of that person and go, well, am I doing this? Am I doing this in my life? Am I guilty of this? And I could honestly say no, I don't think so. I don't think I have in the past been oh, well, that person's doing better than me, and feel jealous and envious. And but I honestly think when other people are doing well, I think of Mary Hart at Wenatchee. She has her Artisan Synergy event tomorrow. Or Nancy Barrett at Class with a Glass, or Anna Lee at All Good Things, or Brandon at Wenatchee Computer. I think about all of those people, and I see them doing well in their businesses and I'm like, F yeah. You know, I'm like, I want to go talk about them, but I want to go talk about all the good things that they're doing. Right. Like I want to gossip good about them. And it honestly doesn't make me feel any vindictive jealousy because I want them to succeed just as much as I want myself to succeed. So this was a really good exercise for me in my own self-growth. They also said like they could be envious. They could be following a crowd, right? Like if there's a group of people that are already starting to gossip and you kind of walk in and you want to be part of that crowd. And I can say I'm totally guilty of this, Grayson. Especially being part of like karaoke bar scene, you know, you walk out, you go, whatever, you go for a smoke or whatever. And there's people like just talking smack about somebody or something. And it's just kind of easy to either one, maybe say, or huh, yeah, or not say anything.
Or to participate.
And I think I'm, you know, very guilty of that. And even if you don't say anything, I could be guilty of not stopping it or not standing up for the person, be like, oh, well, that's kind of rude, or like, or not just like walking away. Like I think I'm guilty of that. Just because that's what's in the moment, the social norm.
Right.
And we don't always want to be the one to buck the social norm within our own subculture. Right. Buck the social norm out there in society for friggin' sure. But buck the social norm in my own little subculture, I don't know. That's a little bit harder. Don't make fun of that guy. I don't know. I thought his hair was fine, you know, whatever it is. So yeah. And the last thing she said was that maybe they need entertainment because their lives are just not that interesting.
I'm going to go with that last one.
I'm going to go with that one.
I'm sorry. I have to interject here. I'm going to have to go with that last one. Because when you walked in, I'd already heard enough. And you saw me. I'm all like listening but laughing. Because what do? First of all, they're talking about someone they don't know. Second of all, they're talking about something they don't even know what the actual conversation content was. So they're talking like right out of their bleep, right? So you have to step back and be like, that last thing you just said, which is where I was coming from. That is completely
that they need
how
some
I
entertainment.
Felt. Their lives are so boring, and they do what they do all day that they have to find any source of anything that can be entertaining, right? Whatever that may be. That just shows you not that they aren't smart or that they boring, but like they're probably the people that have like a bunch of cats. And
oh, you don't know. Don't judge.
I'm not trying to judge. I'm trying to paint a picture. Follow with me. They hang out a lot around their house, right? And they watch a little TV. They don't really go out is the point that I'm trying to produce here. They don't really get out into the world. They might not have like the largest circle of friends. So when they are in the space that they're in, that's probably the one time that they have like this tiny little bit of happiness. And even though it sucks that what they're doing is bringing other people down, they aren't thinking that they're actually doing that because they don't realize that they can be heard.
Maybe. Yeah.
Right?
I know.
So I laugh at it.
Well, I do too. I mean, there is a bit of, I always take things a little bit personally. It's hard for me. It's hard for me not to, because I genuinely care about what people have to say. But I don't internalize it so much anymore. I really don't. I don't like take it so much to heart, like where it is going to change who I am as a person.
I would agree with that with you for as long as I've known you, because I know that you hosting karaoke in a bar scene would take certain things pretty personally and things that people would say, you know, because you're trying to put out this wonderful, awesome show. In your mind, you're out there dancing and singing and have a good time. And then Joe Schmo from off the street comes in, you know, this really sucks. What are you wearing? And why did you wear that?
Oh, yeah.
And you can't help but take that personally, right?
Yeah.
And so that's growth. That's growth in the human experience. You have grown in your human experience from taking things personally that you probably shouldn't, right? I admire you for that, because I'm going to put myself out on blast and say, I don't have that kind of growth yet. I still have immaturity.
Well, we're
in this
all getting
department,
better
so.
all the time. And I think it comes with building. Well, for me, it came with building up my self-confidence, right? In who I am as my own self-identity, and being comfortable with getting out there, wearing what I want to wear, doing my hair the way I want to do my hair, acting the way that I want to act, that isn't being intrusive or disrespectful to anybody or anything. And so
putting yourself out there and putting yourself out there for your business has really grown your confidence. I have to throw that in there.
And you know what? As many people who are out there maybe talking unkindly, I get just as many people saying wonderful things and saying, like, thank you for putting yourself out there and putting your vulnerability out there and putting your differences out there, because you're showing people that it's okay. Like, you're showing people that it's okay to be a little different, and to, you know, because, you know, it takes courage to be different.
Correct.
It really does. So we're going to end the show today. We did a lot of stuff today. Okay. If you are still looking for some tickets for Touch a Truck, we will give you a pair of these tickets. If not, I will throw them up online, and we'll make sure. I had a lot of people wanting these tickets online, so we will make sure that these get into the hands of a good family that wants to go and support this awesome event at the Wenatchee Valley College tomorrow for the Women's Service League. And thank you again to Chris at Safe Flight for donating this. Make sure you stop by his table tomorrow at Touch a Truck and get entered into his giveaway that has all of those wonderful prizes in it. And then stop by Lenesse Boutique at 1630 North Wenatchee Avenue. They have Artisan Synergy tomorrow starting 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. with dually dogs and all good things and other great artisan vendors throughout the day out there as well. So I want to end today's broadcast with this video. If you are following me on Instagram or Facebook, you might have seen my blind reaction video to this, but it really ties into what we're talking about with this gossiping, and come full circle with being unique, being yourself, having that self-confidence to be yourself. I want to thank everybody for tuning in today. If you've missed any of today's show, you can watch the recap over on our Facebook page or over on our YouTube page. And we have 2 seasons of What's Up Wenatchee back on any place that you find or stream your podcasts. So darlingpodcast.com is our website, and we will be back next week.
No, not next week.
We're not
Nikki.
here next week. We're going to celebrate Memorial Day weekend. So we're going to take the Friday off, and then we'll be back in 2 weeks.
Yes.
We want to thank Mayor Frank Kuntz for coming on and talking about all the things with the Confluence Parkway Project and everything else that he gave his generous time to. But anything else?
The only other thing I want to say is out there in the valley, I know it's heating up and it's getting warm. Please stay hydrated out there this weekend, you guys. Please stay safe. Please drink water.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget La
heat
Teresa. The Main Street is tomorrow, too.
I am so going to that.
That's another thing, but that's later on in the afternoon.
Yes.
So you got lots of things to stop by tomorrow. We got Touch a Truck and Artisan Synergy and La Teresa all happening tomorrow. It's a busy weekend.
Yeah, I'm gonna be starting my Artist Synergy to check it out and I really have to get a dually dog. You know, that's the only hot dog.
Oh, I'm
check
so
in
hungry right
town.
now. Don't forget, we do have Darling Productions stickers up for grabs until
2 for
they are
$5.
gone, but they're not gone yet. So 1 for $3, 2 for $5. The link is on our Facebook. You can pay for it through our Square link, and I could get them out to you, or you could just find me, give me cash. And it's not hard to find me. I am everywhere. Okay, are we ready to shut this broadcast down today? I think so.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna play this video. It is all about if you're mediocre, you can't be unique. It takes courage to be unique. I'm just gonna let this guy tell it because he does it a lot better than me.
Do it.
All right, peace out, everybody. We'll see you next time.
Be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you've neutralized your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to be successful. It takes courage to win. People don't talk about people that don't win. If you win, they're going to talk about you. Do you have the courage? If you don't want to make waves, be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you've neutralized your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to be successful. It takes courage to win. People don't talk about people that don't win. When they're going to talk about you, do you have the courage? If you don't want to make waves, be mediocre. Be normal and fit in. Dress like them, walk like them, act like them, eat like them, go where they go, think like they think, do what they do. And once you've neutralized your uniqueness, you don't need courage. It takes courage to be different. It takes courage to be successful. It takes courage to win. People don't talk about people that don't win. If you win, they're going to talk about you. Do you have the courage?